Now let us talk about the another inscription. This is elephant carved rock at major rock inscription at Dhauli. Okay, this is Dhauli. Do you remember the PYQ now? Do you remember the prelims question now? Okay, now this Dhauli is ASI monument. Okay, that is, it is protected by the government. Now just see the question. Okay, see, Dhauli, Odisha. Okay, now let us come on the previous slide again. So, yes, Dhauli is from the Odisha. Okay, it is from Odisha, the present Odisha. Okay, and see the color of the stone. Okay, see the color of the stone. It is little black, little gray. Okay, little black, little gray, and sometimes we see that the water falls from here. Okay, and this is the elephant trunk. Okay, and the inscription is being written here. Okay, here on the trunk itself. Okay, so this is Dhauli inscription, which tells about the Ashokan expansion in the South India as well. Okay, we have seen, if you see the map, if you imagine the map again, Ashoka had expanded his territory up till the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu region, touching the Kerala region. Okay, so here Dhauli would be found out somewhere here. Okay, in the present Odisha region. Okay, so here the Dhauli, okay, Dhauli would be talking about the Ashoka's expansionary policy. Expansionary policy. In fact, the Dhauli inscription would be praising his expansionary policy. Okay, that how Ashoka is approaching towards the South India. Okay, now let us see the next one. Okay, so this is Areraj inscription. Okay, this is Areraj inscription. Now this inscription is in the present day northern MP and not northern MP, Rajasthan and some part of northern MP. Okay, so this is Areraj inscription. After that, this is the Loria inscription or the Loria pillar. Okay, Loria pillar. Again, it is at the UP Bihar side. Okay, after this, this is Rampurva pillar. Now Rampurva pillar, it was in UP, but now it is placed in Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi. Okay, Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi. Is this fine now? Okay, so you have to remember all these inscriptions and the statues which can be asked in UPSC examination. Now I have showed you one of the evidence that how UPSC asks the questions. Okay, now after that, see this. This is a paragraph which is given in the university or the IGNOU text. This 13th Ashoka edict is also being present in your NCERT. Okay, so explicitly UPSC tends to ask a particular question on a particular edict. Okay, so there are some of the numbers given to this edicts, and the edict number, Ashokan edict number 13, is the most significant edict which talks about the Ashoka's governance policy. Okay, now let us see what does this edict talks about. Okay, so this is 13th edict, 13th rock edict of Ashoka. So nearly there are about 18 to 19 rock edicts. Okay, so this is the 13th rock edict, major rock edict. Okay, so here, okay, it talks that when he had consecrated 8 years, the beloved of the gods, the king Piyadasi, conquered the Kalinga. So this script is talking about the Kalinga. Now why am I discussing this narration which is given on the inscription? Because UPSC had asked the question around the statement of the inscription. Okay, and that is why I am taking this. Okay, so here it is talking about the Kalinga war. If you remember our previous lectures, I had talked about the Kalinga state, which was where the Kalinga war was held, and this Kalinga war was one of the deadliest war. It was one of the deadliest war, and in this war, the King Ashoka was called as a Chanda Ashoka. Okay, Chanda Ashoka. Okay, so he was called as, depicted as one of the deadliest ruler. Okay, so here 150,000 people. Okay, 150,000 people. Okay, people were deported to the death. Okay, they were killed. Okay, afterwards, now that Kalinga was annexed, the beloved of the god, that is King Ashoka, very earnestly practiced the Dhamma. Okay, he accepted the Dhamma. What is Dhamma? Means dharma. Okay, now on conquering the Kalinga, okay, he felt, the gods felt remorse. Okay, for when an independent country is conquered, the slaughter, the death, the deportation of the people is extremely grievous of the beloved of the gods. Okay, so here the inscription tells that how Ashoka felt. Okay, after he saw so many dead bodies on the war ground, he felt very bad. He felt very guilty that due to our expansionary vision, we had put this many people to the death. Okay, what about their families? What about their children? What about their wives and mothers? Okay, what they will do? What they will have, from where they will have the source of livelihood? Okay, so that is why Ashoka would be feeling very in-depth guilty. Okay, and then he would be converting himself, or he would be following the Buddhist path. Okay, that is the Dhamma principles. He would be going through, or he would be taking each of the decision based on the Dhamma principles. Okay, in this way he surrender himself to the Buddhism. Okay, so here this inscription, okay, this inscription also talks about the participation of the men. Okay, here this participation of all men in the suffering weighs heavily on the mind of the beloved of the gods. See, so Ashoka is feeling very bad. Okay, except among the Greeks, there is no land where the religious orders of the Brahmins and the Shramanas are not been found, and there is no land anywhere where men do not support one sect or the another. Today, if 100 or the 1,000 part of those people who were killed or died or were deported when Kalinga was annexed were to suffer similarly, it would weigh heavily on the mind of beloved of gods. So it is being imagined by the Ashoka that there is no man on this earth who don't follow any of the sect. Every man needs some or the another guide to guide him in the future way. Okay, every man needs his own guru. Okay, so the Ashoka felt the same thing, and that is why Ashoka is feeling very low, that I need some of the guiding light. Okay, after that the beloved of the god believes that one who does wrong should be forgiven. So Ashoka says that I should be forgiven for my all these deeds. Okay, I have putted this many people to the death. Okay, so I should be forgiven. I should be given at least one chance to improve my such mistake. Okay, so and the beloved of the gods, okay, beloved of the gods conciliates the forest tribes of his empire, but warns them that he has a power even in his remorse, and he asks them to repent lest they be killed. Okay, so whatever tribes were being affected in the war, okay, what does Ashoka do? Ashoka comes to their region, he implements the welfare policies, he does whatever is necessary for their families, the families of those soldiers who were dead in this Kalinga war. Okay, so all these tribal people are being supported, they are being employed in the centralized government. Okay, so the beloved of the gods considers the victory by the Dhamma to be the foremost victory, and this is the way the Ashoka says that Kalinga war was not my victory, but yes, I surrender to this Dhamma principle. This is the major victory that I would be having after this Kalinga war. Okay, it is not the war victory, but it is Dhamma who would be having the victory. Okay, or the victory is that I am following this path. Okay. Okay. Now he also talks about the Greek kings. The Greek king named Antiochus, and beyond the realm of Antiochus in the lands of the four kings named Potem, Antigonus, Magas and Alexander. So he talks about the four kings. Okay, he talks about the four kings in this 13th Ashokan edict. Okay, he says that there is no land, okay, there is no land who doesn't follow any of the guru except the Greek are the only people who don't follow any kind of guru. Elsewhere, everyone has one or the another kind of guru. Take the gods. Okay, they had their own gurus, right? They had the Shishya Guru Parampara. And that is why as I am from the Indian subcontinent, I would be also following the same thing. I am not a Greek. I am an Indian. I am born from the Indian subcontinent, the Lord of the gods. Okay, and that is why I need some guru. Okay, now here he also this edict also talks about the south over the Cholas and the Pandyas as far as the Ceylon. Okay, likewise here the imperial territories among the Greeks and the Kambojas, the Nabhakas from the Nabhapankantis, Bhojas, Patinikas, Andhras, Parindas, everywhere the people follow the beloved of the God. So everyone is following the Ashoka and his instruction from the Dhamma. Okay. Now, what is obtained by this victory everywhere and the everywhere? Victory is pleasant. This pleasure has been obtained through the victory of Dhamma. So it is not the victory of Ashoka, it is the victory of Dhamma. And it is not the individual victory, it is the victory of the principles due to which this war was been fought. Okay, so they will neutralize the pace. They will neutralize the deadliest nature of the war through this inscriptions. Okay, so these are the reasons. These are the reasons why Ashoka adopted Buddhism. Okay, these are the reasons. Okay, the reasons behind. Okay, the reasons behind the adoption of the Buddhism by the Ashoka. Okay, so I hope you don't forget the rock cut edict of the 13th edict of Ashoka. Okay,